Hey everybody, it's me as always, your host Gambit896, and I'm back with another Welshman's vlog video. This is number 10. For those of you who may be new to my channel and know nothing about this video series, this is where I talk about what's going on with me in my world of comics, or where I bring up anything from the comic book world that I want to talk about, or also where I show off any recent hauls of graphic novels or trade paperbacks that I picked up over the past few weeks. Please excuse me if I look off screen quite a bit. I've got some notes on my laptop, which is off screen, so if I look off screen quite a bit during this video, I'm just gathering up my notes and just looking for my next protocol that I want to talk about. So, without further ado, let's get started. First and foremost, hang on. That's better. First and foremost, we have the Animal Man and Swamp Thing issue 17 came out this week. I know from watching a few people's videos in the YouTube comic book community that some people are still really enjoying World, other people are still sort of becoming slightly disillusioned with the World event, being that the issue 17 were marketed as being the finale of the World event, but in fact it won't tie up or finish off completely until next month with issue 18, which will be the epilogue to World. So I can understand people's trepidations about the series with the way it's been marketed and whatnot. Personally, I've only got the first trades of Animal Man and Swamp Thing, and I've really enjoyed both so far. I've got Volume 2 on my shelf. I haven't got a chance to reading Animal Man Volume 2 yet, but I'll probably stick with the series until the whole of the World series is collected in trade paperback format. Ugh, sorry, I can't speak today. And then I'll decide what's going on with the series after that for me personally. Also at the DC side of things, they've recently announced that they've cancelled 6 of their new 52 titles, some of which some of our YouTube comic book community members might be sad to see go. Others probably won't be missed all that much, to be perfectly honest. So without further ado, these titles are The Savage Hawkman, The Fury of Firestorm, Sword of Sorcery, which I've heard quite good things about. So maybe a few people in our YouTube comic book community, or the comic book community as a whole, might be sad to see that series go, as it's only just recently sort of, from what I understand, sort of getting off the ground and finding its feet, so to speak. Team 7 is another title that DC are cancelling. Deathstroke and The Ravagers. I know David Lee, he collects The Ravagers on a regular basis. Whether or not he's, or David, whether or not you're watching this, I'm not sure if you're disheartened by the cancellation of Ravagers or not. But unfortunately, you know, that's DC's decision, and well, some of us just gonna have to go along with it, so to speak. Also, from the Marvel side of things, there's a preview online to the cover to issue 2 of Thanos Rising, which will be written by Jason Aaron and illustrated by Simone Bianchi. I'll put a link to the preview for the cover in the description, and I'll also put a link again below in the description to a January interview with Jason Aaron about the Thanos Rising series, for those of you who may be interested. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie, but Thanos showed up at the end credits scene of Joss Whedon's Avengers Assemble last summer during the 2012 blockbuster period. If you haven't seen Joss Whedon's Avengers Assemble, highly recommend you go and do so. It's an absolutely fantastic film. So anyway, for you Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fans out there, and for those of you reading the current IDW series, for those of you who may be reading the Micro series right now, there will be a new Micro series as of April, which will be focusing on the villains of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles universe. Again, this is going to be published by IDW, and it'll be a series of one-shots or one-and-done stories focusing on a particular villain of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles universe within the micro series. So the first issue will be kicking off. We'll be seeing the focus on Krang, and it'll be written by Joshua Williamson and illustrated by Mike Henderson. I do apologise. Again, I'll put a link to the description to the announcement and a preview for the issue 1 of the micro series with Krang on the front cover. Also, Disney have recently announced some Star Wars spin-off films. This has come from the rumours floating about on the internet that there were going to be some Star Wars spin-off movies. Speaking with CNBC, Disney CEO Robert Iger, I-G-E-R, I would be true to pronounce that, confirmed that they are talking about some standalone Star Wars films derived from the characters within the Marvel universe. What the hell? Within the Star Wars universe, but they're not part of the overall saga. Sorry, that was a complete and utter brain fart just then. As reported in November, screenwriters Lawrence Kasdan, who you may know from The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and Simon Kinberg, who you may know from X-Men 3 The Last Stand and Sherlock Holmes, are working on the spin-offs and are consulting with J.J. Abrams, who will be directing Star Wars Episode 7. I thought I'd just throw in my whole 2 cents about the spin-offs and the Episode 7 as a whole. The spin-off films I'm pretty cool with. I'd like to see some of the characters fleshed out a little bit more. Primarily, it was announced online, or a rumour online, that there will be a Yoda spin-off film, which would be really, really interesting if we flash back to Yoda's far younger days, perhaps before he became a Jedi, and then him essentially becoming a Jedi, and then this would then set up the current timeline within the Star Wars universe from the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, where we see Yoda is far older and is a member of the Jedi Council, but still he's an older Jedi, but he's still pretty badass. So that'll be an interesting film if they do decide to bring that out. Episode 7, there was an article online that some of the fans wanted the original stars to come back and reprise their roles. Honestly, that isn't really going to happen. The stars of the original trilogy are years beyond them since they did the original Star Wars trilogy. Of course, examples being Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill, obviously playing Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, respectively, in the original trilogy. What about if they focused on... What if they took a more Star Wars comic book-ish route with Episode 7? Now, what about if they adapted, say, the Star Wars Legacy books, which focused on, I believe, I'm not really sure because I haven't read them, but what about a film focusing on, I believe one of the main characters was Luke Skywalker's son or his great-grandson or something like that? For all of you Star Wars Legacy fans out there, put a link below in the description if I'm wrong. But what about them adapting some source material that is still within the context of the Star Wars universe, but moving further forward from the original trilogy? Or what if they adapt some of the later novels of the Star Wars books? By all means, put a comment below in the description and tell me what you guys think they could possibly adapt, or what you'd like to see adapted, or what route you would like Episode 7 to take with J.J. Abrams at the directing helm. Oops. Sorry, I just knocked an empty tea mug over. What's next to talk about? For all of you fans of the Luna Brothers, specifically all of you fans of The Sword, which was an Image series that the Luna Brothers brought out between 2007 and 2010. It ran for 24 issues and it was published by Image Comics. I believe the writer was Jonathan Luna and the artist was Joshua, obviously his brother. The series focused on Dara Brighton, a young paraplegic leading a normal life until a trio of siblings shows up on her doorstep demanding a special sword. When they don't get it, they murder Dara's family and they leave her to die in a house fire, which then reveals the sword's hidden location. Now imbued with superhuman abilities, Dara makes it a mission to track down and kill the siblings, and that's pretty much your synopsis of the ongoing plot of The Sword. I don't know, I haven't read it as of yet, but I probably will at some point, seeing as how it's because it's an Image comic, and Image are putting out some really great series right now, and also I want to get more into the independent comics anyhow. A good friend of mine, Mr. Ito Capo, recently did the first in a new series on his channel called Spoiler Alert. I'll put a link to the video in the description, where he talked about the possibility of a Planet Hulk and World War Hulk live action film of an adaptation of those two storylines. I read the Planet Hulk storyline by Greg Pak, and I believe one of the artists, at least, I think there were various artists on that book, but one of the artist names who sticks out is Gary Frank, who did the illustration with Jeff Johns on the Batman Year One, was it Year One? No, sorry, Batman Earth One, original graphic novel that came out a few months ago. That's just something that Gary Frank has worked on that sticks out in my mind. So I thought the Planet Hulk storyline was fantastic. I haven't read World War Hulk as of yet. But in an interview with Kevin Feige, who is the Marvel studio boss, he recently announced that there were plans for a Planet Hulk storyline where Mark Ruffalo's version of the Hulk, who we saw in Joss Whedon's Avengers Assemble last summer in 2012 in the summer blockbuster period, his version of the Hulk would be shipped off by the Marvel Cinematic Universe's version of the Illuminati, thereby kickstarting and following the plotline of the Planet Hulk storyline. There was an animated version of the storyline released by Marvel, which I really enjoyed. In fact, I'll put a link to the animated version of Planet Hulk if you guys are interested in checking that out. Also, he announced that the Ant-Man film would be coming out, and also a Doctor Strange movie would be coming out as well. I'm quite excited for Doctor Strange, as one of my earlier childhood memories of Doctor Strange was viewing a episode of the Amazing Spider-Man TV series from season 3, which was actually the first episode, called Doctor Strange, and was my first exposure to the character of Doctor Strange ever. Also, just briefly touching upon one of my most recent reviews over on Dark Avenger Inc. Plus, and that is of Strange the Doctor is Out by Mark Waid and Emma Rios. This collects the full 4-issue miniseries written by Mark Waid and illustrated by Emma Rios, which focuses on the character of Dr. Stephen Strange, aka Doctor Strange. If you guys are interested, I'll put a link to this in-depth review over on Dark Avenger Inc. Plus in the description. So by all means, if you want to check that out, please feel free to do so. Also, a actor whose name I can't pronounce, but I'll put a link to the interview in the description. This actor is from the Lost TV series, and he'll be playing the dual role of the Dark Elf, Algrim the Strong, and Curse, who I believe was a character that was introduced during the Walt Simonson run on the Mighty Thor back in the 1980s. This gentleman will be playing these two villains, and they will be the primary antagonists of the upcoming Thor 2 The Dark World movie. And also, for the upcoming Captain America The Winter Soldier film, we may have found, or the studio or the producers of the film may have found an actress to play the role of Sharon Carter in ABC's Revenge, and the actress's name is Emily Van Camp. I'm not very familiar with the ABC's Revenge series, but by all means, for all of you out there who are fans of the series, put a link below, put a comment below in, sorry, put a link, god damn it, put a comment below telling me what you think of Emily Van Camp playing the role of Sharon Carter in the upcoming Captain America movie. And finally, just briefly going back to the Doctor Strange movie, briefly. Roman Coppola discussed the movie in an interview recently, and he originally wanted his cousin Nicolas Cage to play the title role of Doctor Strange. That's something I fundamentally don't agree with, as I don't think Nicolas Cage would be a very good fit for the character of Doctor Strange in a live-action portrayal of the character. Again, for all of you Doctor Strange fans out there, by all means feel free to put a comment below in the description, in the comments. God, I'm tongue-tied to the maximum today for some reason. Put a comment below telling me who you think would like to play the title role of Doctor Strange in the upcoming movie. And yeah, let's have some inter-comment discussion about who we think should play Doctor Strange in the upcoming movie. That's it for news from the comic book world and films and whatnot. In terms of recent pickups, this first series, I think Damien Sleepyweed 666 will probably get a fun kick out of seeing these, as I recently brought this series up to him in a recent conversation that we had on Skype. And also Mr. James Donnelly, if you're watching this vlog video, I'm sure you'll get a fun kick out of seeing this series as well, as I know you hold this series in very high regard. But also any fans of this particular Marvel horror comic series from the 70s, and that is Tomb of Dracula Volume 1. This is written by, we have various writers on this, on the first 6 issues. We have the likes of Jerry Conway, Archie Goodwin, Gardner Fox, and then we have the ongoing and thereby continuing afterwards with issue 7. We have the creative team of Marv Wolfman on the writing, and this entire series is illustrated by Gene Colan. This first trade collects the first 12 issues of the series. Next up we have Tomb of Dracula Volume 2. This collects Tomb of Dracula issues 13 through 23, and also Werewolf by Night issue 15, and Giant Size Chillers issue number 1. Again, written by Marv Wolfman and illustrated by Gene Colan. As you can see from the spine, this series is published by Marvel, as you can see there. And finally, for Tomb of Dracula, we have Volume 3. This third and final trade collects issues 24 through 31, and Giant Size Dracula issues 2 through 4. So, Mr. James Donnelly, Sleepyweed 666, and all of you fans of the 70s Marvel Comics, I'm sure you guys will get a fun kick out of seeing that series. The final horror-orientated pickup recently, this is Werewolf by Night, In the Blood. This is a Marvel Max title, and is written by Dwayne Schwazinski, who many of you may know was the writer on Birds of Prey before the series was taken over by Christy Marks, although I believe from the recent creative team shake-ups over at DC, I'm not sure if Christy Marks is still set to write the Birds of Prey series, but I'll double check that and I'll put an annotation somewhere in this video. Dwayne Schwazinski, some of you may know if you're reading the Valiant series right now, he's writing the recently rebooted Valiant series Bloodshot, and the artwork in this Werewolf by Night in the Blood is done by Mikoi Soyen, and this trade collects issues 1 through 4, as well as 1974's Tomb of Dracula issue 18, and Werewolf by Night issue 15. Next up is a series my good friend Rue42, who I'll put a link to his channel in the description. If you haven't checked out this guy's channel, highly recommend you go and do so. I'll put a link in the description. Also, Agent 42Q just recently bought himself a first in the Absolute editions of this series, and also Mr. James Donnelly recently was given this first trade, the trade of this series, by Engine 42Q as well. And also my good friend Mark, aka MAW001, you'll probably get a fun kick out of seeing this first volume as well, as I know you hold this series in very high regard. That is The Sandman, Volume 1. This is Preludes and Nocturnes. This is written by Neil Gaiman and illustrated by various different artists, and this first trade collects the first 8 issues of the series. And if I hold up the bottom part of the trade to the camera, as you can see, this is the fully recolored edition. I think I may do obviously I'll do a review of this this edition that I have, but I think in light of a recent video by Reader 1717, I will do a similar video, but I think I will do a comparison video of the of an older edition of this first story arc of Preludes and Nocturnes, and I'll also do a comparison of the recolored edition as well. So if you guys are interested in seeing which edition is and I use this in inverted commas because I'm not sure if this is the right choice of words, better in terms of the inking and the colouring of the book. So that's just a video I think I may do at some point. So like I said, a comparison between an older edition of Preludes and Nocturnes and this new fully recolored edition that I've just bought. And finally, for pickups, is the first in a series that again, Mr. James Donnelly has said in some of his previous videos that if people aren't picking up this series, then they should start, because it's a really great series. Also, in a conversation with a really good friend of mine, Go Celtics 53, we struck up a conversation on Skype, and I asked him if this series is new reader friendly. He said absolutely, so I got it on your recommendation, Go Celtics 53. If you're watching this, big shout outs to you, my friend. And that is Ultimate Comics All New Spider-Man Volume 1 by Brian Michael Bendis. This is written by Brian Michael Bendis and illustrated by Sarah Pacelli, and this first trade collects issues 1 through 5, as well as Ultimate Comics Fallout, issue number 4. So that's the final pickup that I made in terms of recent graphic novel or trade paperback acquisitions. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm sorry this one was slightly longer than normal with my vlogs, but I thought there was a fair bit of news that I wanted to talk about and highlight. Like I said, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. As always, feel free to leave a comment below in the comment section. And if you're new to my channel and this is your first time viewing one of my videos, please feel free to subscribe by clicking the button down there. And as I said before, I'll put links to everything that I discussed within this video in the description. So if you guys are interested in checking out anything that I've covered in this video, the links will be down there in the description for you guys to do that. And until next time, this is Gambit896 signing off, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, guys.